Witty, dark, and sexually fluid, but to satisfy his thirst for blood, the Count must first defeat Sister Shay. We're talking about Netflix spin on Dracula right now on AfterBuzz TV.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
It's just so cheery for Dracula, right? It's like,
yeah, we need some dark.
like dun dun dun.
Yes.
Hey, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on AfterBuzz TV. We are talking about Dracula, Netflix spin on Dracula, Season 1, Episode 1, The Rules of the Beast. I'm Jackie Ray. I am joined by my lovely co-panelists, Emily May.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, and Adrian Snow.
Hello, everyone.
I don't know why I have to say your name like that, like Jon Snow, Adrian.
That's okay.
Everyone does it, don't
Everyone does it. I love it.
Nothing new.
Game of Thrones.
Right? It's all there. It's all there.
Life.
All right, so we're here with you guys. We're doing Dracula. We've been kind of chatting it up, but ladies, really quick. Adrian, you first. Overall thoughts of the show. It's like dun dun dun.
I'm a big fan of Dracula.
There it is.
I've seen a lot of interpretations, and this wasn't my favorite. You know, I'm a Doctor Who fan, so Stephen Moffat, Matt Gaddis, and Sherlock.
Yeah.
This is me just like filling time, so I don't have to say too much. But it was interesting.
It was interesting. Emily, what about you?
You know, I've seen previous versions of Dracula, and, you know, I think it was an interesting take on it. There's more to see. This is just the first episode.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, BBC and Netflix, they work together to create it. And so I think when you're doing a story like this, you have to really take a spin on it. And I think it turned from classic Dracula to like an Evil Dead situation where you have a lot of horror, and they like upped the horror near the end of this episode. So I think they brought it, but I think it might have fallen flat a little bit as we.
Do you think it's because our expectations are set so high as far as the brand? Because I love the Bram Stoker's, the 1992 version, and I didn't know really what to expect because you know it's Netflix, and then first seeing that there was only 3 episodes in this season, I was like, what is the plan here? I didn't really know. Do you feel like our expectations are just a little high, or they just took too many liberties for you?
Well, I mean, everyone's going to have expectations because everyone's going to have their favorite. And so it's such a hard story to tell because it's a classic story. And, you know, I think in the beginning of this episode, they brought up some themes that are throughout all the other versions. But, you know, here they have a platform, Netflix has a platform to really bring it out even more.
Right.
Well, what was I going to say? I know that when you're getting Mark Gaddis and Stephen Moffat, that they do like to do like essentially a miniseries type thing. So just because it's being geared as a miniseries with only 3 hour-and-a-half episodes doesn't mean it won't come back, just like Sherlock came back. But I think that they tried a different spin on Dracula, which is, you know, I get it. It's public domain, so at this point, you can do whatever you want to Dracula.
They have those creative liberties they can take.
And I think they did their best to honor it at the beginning. And, you know, the very first, well, almost, when you're introduced to Dracula and you go back in time to Jonathan and seeing him in that time, it's almost beat for beat. Yeah, like, okay, this is Dracula. Okay, I can get down with this. You turn Jonathan into Renfield, but okay, let's keep going. And then,
I mean, it definitely has the series has a definite classic look. You know, it's definitely what I would expect from, you know, a high-end production from Netflix. You know, if they were going to produce Dracula, and they did, and so it definitely has that look that I was expecting. And until the end of this episode, where there was some surprise moments.
Right. So we're going to get into all that. We're going to talk about Jonathan. We're going to talk about, of course, Dracula. But first, I wanted to start with what I have coined her Sister Shade, but she is Sister Agatha, because she throws a lot of shade throughout this show. What was your first impression of Sister Agatha?
So I love Sister Agatha, and that she brought kind of the comedic kind of sass element to the show, and kind of balanced out the darkness of Dracula.
Right. Now I off top thought that maybe she had somehow gotten trapped in a nunnery, that she was an atheist that got trapped. But Adrian, you off top had a different impression of her.
Something was up because she was
we already
way too lax about her nunly duties. And I was like, she does not seem to believe in God. She is like really into Dracula, and then
she's kind of obsessed. There's like an obsession, an unhealthy obsession.
At one point, when she walked past a bag of steaks, I did write, "Ooh, why she got a bag of steaks? She Van Helsing." Like it was like no question.
Right.
She's clearly Van Helsing if that's how she's operating, because Van Helsing, I think Anthony Hopkins did in 1992. And there's always just like a slightly different take on Van Helsing every time. Then there was the movie Van Helsing.
Right.
So, I knew they were going to probably sneak the character in at some point.
Right.
But I love the reveal in the beginning of the episode where she's in there questioning Jonathan, and you think, oh, okay, and then there's another chaperone nun,
right?
I'm gonna in quotes, that is with her, and so they're questioning her, and originally she was the one that like tried to bring him, like heal him and make him better, and so it kind of stays with the world of it, and then slowly as this first episode goes on, you see that like maybe she's not truly who she thinks she is, because she's like talking back and questioning Jonathan in a way that I think as a healer and as someone of God and like wouldn't necessarily question him in such a negative, like kind of accusatory way. Right. And so I think they were leaving little breadcrumbs along the way and little clues that were like, and I kind of thought that too. I wrote little notes of like, I think they're gonna like have a spin here of the character. And I think they did a good job about developing that.
Yeah, one of my favorite lines actually came from Sister Shade, and that's when she said, there's all these folklore or ways to defeat Dracula that make no sense, and that's the first time, because we always hear about the cross, the garlic, the holy water, all that good stuff. None of that makes mirrors. None of that makes any sense. But, and I love the fact that they have her have that one line where she kind of touched on, this doesn't make sense, but we're going to make it work.
Yeah, and it's nice that they're investigating and also wanting to put some type of justification as to why those things happen, because you don't really question it, just like garlic, wooden stakes, sun, and you just keep going with it. Right. So to have her be a little bit more inquisitive was just nice to see, because usually it's just like Van Helsing screaming and, staking people. Right. So for her to have the patience to sit down with Jonathan, knowing that he's, as she said, been contaminated, was cool to see. And then also just, she had some zingers in there about Englishmen and men. And she got a little feminist.
She talked about like the living dead. So there was a lot of like language that she was using that was clues to the audience of like, oh, she's not just a normal nun.
Right. Yeah. So let's
find out she's not.
Let's jump over to Jonathan really quick, because Jonathan to me was comic relief, because for me it was like this show would have been 10 minutes if I'd have been Jonathan. You're not going to drop me off at the front of the castle.
Comic relief.
Like you can't drop me off at the front of the castle and I'm just going to sit there patiently and wait for. If you guys are scared to go and if you're handing me a cross, I'm good. I'm gonna go back with y'all. I'm not staying here. I thought it was hilarious that he just kind of had this innocent trust in this very spooky situation.
He was kind of very nonchalant about it. I mean, but he's going there on an assignment from his boss, so he's just like, all right, I got to do this job, and it definitely was more than what he bargained for.
Right.
I don't know. I think. I mean, I would have never gone, but
You would never
if. I
mean, it's a pretty cool castle. It's big
and creepy.
No,
There's things in the basement.
If you had convinced me all the way, like say I made it and I saw the help us was scratched in someone's fingernails. Yeah. Okay, say I made it that far. The moment my fingernail fell off my body, I would be out.
Right.
Yeah. I would be gone during the day because there's no one to stop me.
Yeah. Right.
Like it's like dating like just a horrible dude.
Right.
Like how many clues do you need before you're out the door?
Right.
Well, that's one thing, is like, how believable is this? Because literally in their first meeting, Dracula and Jonathan, he says, I need you here for a month.
Right.
And it's like, oh, dude, no. I maybe 1 or 2 days to sign some papers and get some stuff back to my boss, but a month? you should know by now, oh, this is not a good sign.
Yeah.
And there must have been rumors of, of what's coming out of that
you
castle.
don't need rumors if the lady is like, you're gonna need this, and hands you a cross, and then
there's
he tells
folklore. There's like 10 folklore, but you know.
But I don't know how I would feel if I'm sitting at dinner with somebody that I'm just working for, and he says, I'm going to absorb you.
Absorb.
What now?
Absorb. What do you mean by that?
I mean, absorb your English. They were trying to do like a bunch of punny stuff, and I was like, okay, but yeah, I get there is that classic line of I don't drink wine. I think that's even in the book. I don't drink wine.
I don't drink wine.
But then they kept doing it in various different types of ways. I was like, we get it, Stephen.
Right.
We get it, Mark.
We do have some people in the chat. I did want to say what's up to really quick. Billie Jean Girl 24. I haven't seen you in 6 months, girl. How you doing? It's good to see you. But she says Jonathan looked like Nosferatu. Do you think?
Nah. No, he looks like a ghoul,
Yeah.
But not quite as far as Nosferatu.
Right.
But they kind of go close.
Yeah, I mean, there's just, I mean, if my skin started doing that, oof.
I did think it was an interesting choice to merge the character of Jonathan and Renfield. Because Renfield is an insane asylum. He is a ghoul. His body is falling apart. He does eat bugs. So for them to do that to Jonathan, I thought that was an interesting choice. I don't know if that's a strong choice. There's something about Dracula being seductive and even the way he's able to seduce people just by his presence, just by how he entrances them. Even when he's old and, falling apart. That is a part of the book and a part of some of the earlier iterations that they didn't do here, which kind of was, I thought that was kind of a loss. I was like, it's nice to see Jonathan be seduced into things, even by the brides. Like for the brides to not be seductive was weird.
Yeah, and there was like this kind of gap for me in the believability of Jonathan and kind of being under the spell of Dracula. I didn't necessarily believe it because he kept going up and trying to investigate the castle and try to find, where those noises were coming from. And so but every time they met, the next evening or something at the table, Jonathan didn't notice that Dracula was getting younger.
Yeah, till late. So he was almost completely rejuvenated.
And then the opposite is happening to Jonathan, where his nails falling off. And so it questions my believability as an audience member to really believe that he's under the spell of Dracula.
Right.
Yeah. And he talks about questioning his mental state and am I going crazy? I'm hearing babies and noises, and he's seeing people, running shadows and stuff. And
he's seeing people run up the side of the wall. And he's like, let me go upstairs
let me go up.
look.
And I'm like, there's a big believability where I'm like, if you were in that situation, you'd be in a different state of mind. And
They could have taken a whole episode with Jonathan if that's what they wanted to do. Yeah. To really talk about the seductive qualities of Dracula.
Because Dracula, I mean, he's supposed to ooze sexuality and ooze this presence, and he's supposed to literally take everyone under his spell, and
he can mesmer.
And
that's the whole thing.
Right.
And I felt like it wasn't necessarily here.
Yeah, no, I agree. I kind of want to touch on Mina, his fiance, but before we do that, Adrian, do you have anything you want to tell our people out there?
So guys, before we move on to our next topic, I just want to say thank you so much for making us the ESPN of TV talk. For us to continue to grow, we could use your help. If you're on YouTube right now, you got to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. If you're on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. If you're still doing live journal about us, that's ancient, all right? But no matter where you are, leave us a comment so you can get involved in the conversation. Being a part of AfterBuzz TV has meant so much to all of us, and we truly appreciate you supporting us and doing what we love. Don't forget to tell your friends and keep enjoying our shows.
Yay! All right, so real quick, let's just talk about Mina, his fiance, who I found her the most disappointing character.
She's just underwritten.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to describe that.
Can be a problem.
Yeah.
Well, she was written as a dream state character,
right?
It's like a flashback
which
character.
They played on that a little.
Which they played on that, and they kept having those moments, but only really until the end of the 3/4 of the way through this episode did we finally have that reveal of her being with Sister Agatha. but I felt like it was a little weak.
Right.
I feel like Jonathan should have this, they talked about this love like in these letters. They set it up as this like deep love that no matter through whatever depths of hell, I guess you could say, they would like be through, get through it all. And then it kind of fell flat for me.
Yeah, Mina's a major plot point, like in pretty much every iteration of Dracula. That is, the reincarnation of his love. So there's a desire for him to go after her. And it was like, well, then why are you doing all this to Jonathan? And he's like, well, tell me what she looks like, or my love, or I guess he's talking about the son. But it was just like, what are you doing? I'm just sorry. I'm not going to like rant about it. But they just didn't do justice to her because she's supposed to be, they gave all of her qualities to Van Helsing.
Right.
Yeah.
Versus making them both. I was like, ooh, if they make this like a duo thing where it's like, Mina is now the Jonathan character because in earlier iterations, Jonathan does like return to go hunt down Dracula with Van Helsing.
Right.
I was like, oh, that'd be awesome if they gave it to Mina, but they didn't do anything with her. And it's a double, but
No, and I felt Mina was like a weaker character because they gave the qualities to
Van Helsing.
Yeah, she just didn't seem like, I'm used to what you're saying, where we know that Dracula's kind of he's going after her specifically. And I just feel like if you've never, seen any of the other past Draculas or never read any of the books, you don't pick up on that connection at all in this version. And I found that kind of disappointing because I felt like, why is she here? You know what I mean? I just didn't get, there was something that I found funny, and that's the fact that she is sitting there and you can tell that she's awkward. I thought she was just awkward at first because she's a believing nun and Sister Agatha is not, but then we find out later it's not. But then it made it so inappropriate to me when Sister Agatha was like, so were you sexually
active with Dracula? You're like,
this is between just the two of us.
Yeah.
She never needs to know.
Beyonce's there.
Hey, JK, she's right next to me. Like, what? I
was like, that is so inappropriate.
Yeah, I mean, but what's interesting is like that's the first like 2 minutes of the show.
Right.
They like put out like all the sexuality, all the questions like right out in the front. Right away. And so you're like, what is going on?
That was like, what's happening? And so I found that interesting. But let's get to the main character himself, Dracula. It seems like we've got a overall consensus that we are not overall impressed.
He lacks motivation.
Like, oh, God.
No. But like, what is his motivation? Like, what is the character motivated towards? Why is he doing all this? Why does he want to go to London? Yeah. The drive historically is to get to Mina. So now he's just angry at people in London for what? What is he trying to do? Where's the sex appeal? Like, not the actor himself. He's just not giving off any sex appeal
at all.
And it's not that it's not that Klaus Bang is not attractive. It's just there's nothing sexual about his Dracula.
Right.
But the first thing out of Van Helsing's mouth is, have you had sexual intercourse? And yet there's no sex. This is a UK show, okay? Like, y'all like sex, man.
Over the place.
Like, and y'all don't like violence. And so, like, come on.
Right.
Maybe that's a stereotype, and I'm sorry. But it's true. Like, where's the sex?
Well, historically, isn't Dracula supposed to, like, want to go to England because there's, like, well, he makes this joke in here. It seemed like a joke. I don't know if it was meant to be a joke about the...
you are what you
tasting,
eat.
Yeah, tasting better. Like the people in England taste better.
But that's not enough to
move
put a whole miniseries around.
No.
Like,
well, I can kind of see your point with like the objectives of Dracula. We've seen this, this type of story a million times. So what makes this Dracula, even more powerful and want specific things? And why is he going after Jonathan? And he's trying to refresh his and get more power and be younger every day. Because what Sister Agatha brings up is that Dracula is one of the most successful vampires. Right. That centuries and centuries have lost vampires along the way because they weren't as strong and as, I guess, smart and crafty. And so now he's successful. And so I want to see that. I want to see, like, why is he so successful? What has made him work? And what has made him not get caught? And you kind of get that at the end.
Right, but I'm also, why are there people in the box in the basement?
Well, those are all the old people that he's, like, sucked their energy.
I know that.
I know that,
but couldn't we have them instead of them just being in a box that all of a sudden you randomly open, I just felt like they could have played
their goals.
I mean, right. They're there to serve Dracula, right?
I mean,
well, I think they're playing up the fact that the other vampires, because Van Helsing says that they don't maintain like their intelligence or their personality. And like Jonathan was like one of the rarities because he was still like
still
operating.
Had kind of his soul a little bit.
But no, like that's not enough. Like if it were something where it's like everyone's a servant, it's actually a vampire. Cool.
Right.
Yeah. It was just they wanted to make it gross and like icky and you know, even in the trailer it was like blood splattering everywhere, and that's just not enough to justify Dracula. Like we have enough vampire stories where we don't need you to do that.
I would have loved, you know, the box reveal with everyone. I kind of saw it coming.
Right.
Because I'm like,
why is he down there?
There's obviously he keeps going down there. He's going to find something. There's voices. There's babies crying. The baby was creepy, by the way. But they could have revealed it in a really interesting way where maybe they had one or two. Like you meet the woman that we didn't know she could come out of her box, but obviously we saw her earlier. So again, he was terrified. Jonathan was terrified of this, which is totally, you know, justified. But finding all the other vampires that have been, you know, and souls that have been drained, it should have been like maybe part of them were in pieces of the castle or like, you know, finding like the reveal was not as powerful as it could have been.
I agree.
Why are they ghouls and why are the brides not? What is he doing with the brides? Why are they in the box? Is he having sex with the brides? Does he have sex? He doesn't seem sexual.
And he says he wants to. Well, he says he wants to
make Jonathan
procreate.
a bride too.
Yeah, or procreate. He says Dracula says he wants to procreate. But then I'm like, but you just killed one of your brides.
Right.
And dude, that vampire baby.
I'm glad you got to that because
the vampire baby is like.
I just wanted to get to that because one of the things that really threw me off outside of, you know, some of the missing pieces that we talked about was the special effects. There's moments where I was like, okay, this special effect is good. And then we have this baby. This CG baby that I think I probably could have made. You know what I mean? So I'm like, what happened? What happened with this baby?
I'm not going to go as far and say that I could make it because I can't.
I think, and I could be wrong, and people can correct me in the chat or in the comments, I think there definitely is a reference to a baby and a baby being eaten by one of the brides. And it may even go so far as the baby, like, turns, but I highly doubt that it turns into a vampire. So that might be the one. I
vaguely remember the baby turns and dies immediately, though.
Yeah. So I think like the whole crawling,
and then the like goo goo gaga with the fangs.
Well, it made Dracula seem like kind of an evil scientist, where he has like his test subjects in the basement, and it just like if he's all powerful and the most powerful vampire ever, then he should be more deliberate in like the victims he takes.
Right.
And I felt like why. Don't take a baby, you know?
Well, it was for the bride, but it was also whatever swagger they thought. Like when he was like walking around talking to Van Helsing and he was naked, and I was like, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to make it feel like he has some type of swagger. It's just not happening.
No, and the whole like nun tribe with him coming out,
and they're too afraid.
And
so that was the thing. It was like, okay. At that moment, I was like, they're trying to make him sexy. And I was like, but as the resident Scorpio, and you can take that for whatever that means, I need to see eyes looking down to the Twitter spot. You know what I mean? Nobody's eyes wandered. I'm like, if you're going to make this a kind of a comedian, because I felt like it was funny in a sense. Maybe my humor is just a little weird. But when he crawled out of the wolf, I was like, this has got to be meant to be funny.
Why would you, if you want it to be sexy, just have him turn from a wolf into himself, as he would do,
not crawl
anytime.
out.
It was kind of well. It's I have mixed feelings about it because it was kind of gross because he's like crawling out, but then also it's like the scare factor and kind of that really classic horror flick kind of move where you kind of see it coming, but you have the gore and you have the scare factor.
Yeah, it was like 80s horror though for me. It wasn't
it felt
like,
a little like Evil Dead.
It's a lot of stop motion that they're doing
yeah.
for their horror scenes.
Yeah, and the wolf scene where they're just kind of attacking all the nuns, but you don't see it, but you see nuns just falling.
See, that was
I had
a classic
an issue
move.
with that. Though.
Well, see, I felt like that was a classic move.
Okay.
Of like you're hearing, you kind of see it in the background a little bit, but you hear everything.
Yeah.
And the sound of like the nuns screaming, I think that's scarier because then you don't have to do the cheesy blood and the cheesy gore.
Very
you just
true.
hear it, and sometimes that's more terrifying than seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that it was also partly because it's on BBC in the UK, and also because, like if it were just purely on Netflix, it would be 10 times gorier. But because Americans are trash.
Yeah, we are.
But when it comes to violence,
Even on our news.
prudes when it comes to sex.
Yeah.
So I understand the intention. The execution wasn't there for me.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay. And we'll see what the next 2 episodes bring. He got to get a lot sexier, though. I'm just saying, like, there's got to be more than, like, he goes from being, having a Transylvanian accent to being British. And it's just, like, there's, like, things, inconsistencies.
Well, he said you are what you eat. Maybe he's not eating enough sexy people.
Yeah. Well, he does talk about, like, trying to improve his English and, like,
But why would his accent change?
Because maybe that's why he's eating.
Kind of like when I go to a
British
Jamaican
people.
restaurant and all of a sudden I speak with a Jamaican accent. That does not happen, by the way.
But it's the point of like, I don't know what's
What?
I am so kidding. All right, but speaking of the overall thoughts, we have some special segments for you right now. We want to get into some news and gossip first and foremost.
Awesome. So a lot of the news coming out about Dracula. This comes from Newsweek. And the showrunner, Stephen Moffat, revealed that the character of Sister Agatha started simply... they wanted to widen the role. And so part of what he said was... she's got a tiny, tiny role in the book. She's got a much better agent now, clearly. We were trying to work out how to write these scenes and make them interesting because there's a dead man talking to a nun. It's not potentially that riveting. So we came up with the idea of an atheist nun. We just called her Atheist Nun. The nun who didn't really believe in anything and made lots of jokes. And that character immediately leapt to the top of the script. And then you just thought, oh my God, that's great. So he goes on and on in this Newsweek article at the premiere of Dracula, and he talks about how they switched the roles of Sister Agatha from traditionally a male to a female. And so you can check that out online and hear about all that from the showrunner himself.
Yeah, so there was a big deal about them switching
Sister
Van
Agatha for Van Helsing. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Nice. Did you have anything to add on to that one, Adrian? No? Okay. So I think we should get into our predictions. What do you guys think?
You want to do the special segment?
Oh wait, we just
Yeah.
there's
another
special segment.
We have more.
Let's do our
A little early, guys. A little premature. I am what I eat, I guess.
Dracula through history.
I had some sushi earlier. It wasn't.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. Got my count from Sesame Street count going on. So I just want to talk a little bit about past versions of Dracula. So of course we've been talking about it all night. So let's go right into 1992, Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula. Now, it did win some Oscars. It was. It's more of a cult classic nowadays.
Yes.
Like if you think about it, it was Keanu Reeves, Winona Ryder, and Gary Oldman. And Gary Oldman killed it.
Yes.
He was seductive.
Yeah.
He was terrifying. He turned into a wolf.
Yep.
Then had sex with a woman. It was a lot, y'all. It was a
going
lot.
down.
Then he was like killing people and sucking people's blood and slowly killing them. And Keanu Reeves is there, still talking like Keanu Reeves. But it's such a classic because they did their best to be as loyal to the book as they possibly could be within a 2-hour span.
Right.
And everyone commits to everything they're doing. Even Keanu, who I love to death, still out there trying his best at that British accent, not necessarily succeeding. Was just killing it. And you have Winona Ryder being seduced by Gary Oldman. You have Anthony Hopkins, which I didn't get a picture of, doing Van Helsing. And so everyone was just really committed to bringing this book to life, and I think it's one of the best iterations.
I agree.
Outside of all of its weird
I think
quirks.
that's one of the main things I miss too. Like, even though you knew Dracula was bad, in the Bram Stoker's one, you were kind of rooting for him, though.
Yeah, when he shows up in England with those blue sunglasses, and he's like, I was all about it.
Right.
Gary Oldman, not really my type. But in Dracula,
we're rooting for him,
But
right?
that's why Dracula is like, when you hear about him, like, that's why he's so appealing, because you like love to hate him,
right?
And like, you know he's gonna do bad things, but like, you just can't stop watching him,
Yeah.
and wanting to be around him,
Right.
And I'm not getting that from this one. But
you get seduced. As an audience member.
I want to be
Right.
seduced,
Right, like even in Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah.
You understood why he stayed. You understood everything, even though you're like, oh, you should run, but
you
no,
also
don't
have
run.
like Tom Cruise and
Well, yeah.
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
I mean, Brad Pitt.
You know.
You stay.
I watch Brad Pitt all day.
Yeah.
Any age.
Any age, yeah. But I'm missing that, and I just want to, because I just don't understand. That's how people get caught up in the trap in the first place, is because you just don't want to leave his presence.
Yeah.
But in this one, he's just repelling everybody. So I don't know. Okay, so let's get into our prediction from there. How do we go from repelling to pulling people in?
And now, for AfterBuzz TV.
Oh, I don't know. You want to start?
Adrian, yeah.
Sure.
What do you think?
I think Mina's dead. Kind of a bummer. Jonathan, Mina, they're gone. Jonathan clearly dead. He ripped his face off, so he's gone.
I mean, it's just skin now.
I do feel like I don't know. He might keep Van Helsing around just because she's such an interesting character. For them to kill her off early would be dumb.
Right.
And then I don't know. After that, they've kind of gone off the rails with it already. So I don't know where it's going to go after that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're going to take a non-traditional approach to the next episode, and I really want them to do more with Sister Agatha Van Helsing. I feel like that character can really have an even more developed arc and could do some interesting things later on. Mina, I'm not sure what they're going to do with her. She seems quite
Fragile.
Yeah.
and in a very rough state right now. I feel really bad for this nunnery, because the nun, like,
Are there any nuns left?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're all dead.
More
They're all
nuns,
dead.
like, come, sunrise, this is going to be
Right.
awful on the city.
Yeah.
And then Dracula, I'm wondering what he's going to do next and who his next victim will be.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess my thing, they have to, like you said, keep playing up, the thing between Dracula and Sister
There has
Sister
to be a
Shade.
battle.
It
There has to be.
So I feel like maybe how they do that is maybe he takes Mina, and that's how he lures. I mean, she's gonna fight him regardless, though. But I mean, maybe that's what he does.
I mean, traditionally, Dracula becomes obsessed with her, right?
Yeah, she
So-
reminds him of a past love.
Yeah, so I think they really didn't develop that at the end of this first episode. So I
Right.
feel like maybe we'll see in episode 2. Maybe there's
Yeah.
some type of connection that happens, and then
Yeah.
yeah.
things unravel.
Yeah, so thank you guys for not doing any spoilers in the live chat, because I haven't even seen the next episode. I know you
Yeah,
guys
we
can binge
appreciate
watch
that.
it, so we
Yeah.
appreciate you guys on that. But make sure you come back on Tuesday.
Yes.
And
Tuesday.
we'll be
9
here
p.m.
Tuesday at 9 p.m. doing
And 10
episodes 2, 9, and 10 p.m.
Yeah.
We'll do episodes 2 and 3. But before we get out of here, let's tell everybody where they can find you. Adrian, let's start with you.
Yes, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow. You can also catch me on Sundays here with Doctor Who. And then Magicians When It Returns.
Yay.
Awesome. So you can find me on all social media platforms at Emily May Heller. And then we just did the Golden Globes after show, so go check that out as well.
Yes, and once again, guys, I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me on all things social media at JRayTheFanatic. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this first episode of
My hands
Netflix
are
Dracula.
red.
We will see you guys on Tuesday.
Yay.
Buzz you later.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.